Hey yo, what's going on with the viewers of the tube? Tyler here of Chico Crypto, and I have a urgent video for you today. This Bitcoin crash is telling me something big is coming. Today, we're going to see Bitcoin either flash crash and it could go down. You know, I made a video yesterday about the cost of production. Basically, the cost to mine one Bitcoin is currently at about 53K. So if that something big is, bearish, we're going to see Bitcoin crash down to that cost of production. But in my opinion, this isn't very likely, and we might see a little bit of a pump. So let's talk about what that something big is today. Well, in a few hours, the FOMC meeting is happening. Jerome Powell is talking. He's talking about the future of our economy. So this is massive because right when he is speaking, this meeting that is going down, the Japanese yen is currently imploding again. It's climbing to dangerous levels against the USD. The USD is rising against it. The Japanese yen currency is weakening and weakening. So basically, just 48 hours ago, as we know, last week there was a lot of talk about the Japanese yen collapsing, and 48 hours ago, the Japanese government, they intervened. They injected, basically bought $35 billion worth of yen, to defend their currency. Well, it only gave them 2 days, you guys. Now the Japanese yen is climbing, basically just went and now right back up against the USD. So it is weakening and the yen is on the brink of collapse. So what are the Japanese going to do? I mean, they only have a few options, and I'm going to explain them right now. Basically, Japan is one of the largest holders of U.S. treasuries, aka U.S. debt. They hold near or over $1.2 trillion worth of U.S. treasuries. So what they could do, to defend their yen is they could decide to dump those treasuries, sell them, But what is going to happen if they decide to dump, U.S. debt? Well, of course, it's going to strengthen the yen against the dollar, and the dollar is going to collapse. So this is going to cause, higher inflation. It's going to increase borrowing for the U.S. and a multitude of other things. Basically, the U.S. economy would be motherfuckered. So basically the U.S. government, that's why they didn't sell U.S. treasuries 48 hours ago. They decided to buy yen, print money and buy yen, because the U.S. government said, you're not going to sell our treasuries. If you sell them, we're fucked. The whole globe is fucked. So there is another option that they could do. They could do surprise rate increases. As you guys know, Japan has had basically negative yields for a long time. They have been holding down interest rates, so their economy could bounce back. Well, this has caused, inflation, of course. They've had to print like crazy. So they could surprise the world and decide, hey, we're going to actually increase our rates. But this would ripple throughout the global economy. It would cause a global financial shockwave. So global yields would soar across the board. Japan yields would soar. Everything would soar across the board. So what would happen? Stocks would crash across the globe. Yields would soar, stocks would crash, and we'd see basically another global financial meltdown. So what would the Fed need to do? Our U.S. Fed, the United States Fed, they would have to intervene, my friends. They would have to start making the money printers go brr and brr and brr some more. So now this leads us into that FOMC meeting, the big thing that is happening today. So basically we have one of two scenarios, in my opinion. So when Jerome Powell speaks, and Jerome Powell could come up, hey, Jerome Powell's here, and he could be dovish, which means basically he's going to decide to back off the pedal. They haven't been pushing the pedal lately, but they've just been staying at the same speed, saying, inflation, blah, blah, we're going to keep rate hikes and blah, blah. So he could come in and back off of the pedal. That would mean there would be no talk of inflation from Jay Powell. He might mention it, but he wouldn't say something bad. He wouldn't be like, oh, inflation's going to continue. There would be no bad inflation speak at this meeting. And then he could hint at rate cuts in the future. Now, if that happens, basically what the Fed is doing by, not doing rate cuts, but hinting at them, they're actually manipulating U.S. bond yields to go lower, U.S. treasuries. So that would mean, basically, the dollar would weaken slightly. The US dollar would weaken and it would relieve pressure on the yen. And what would happen if that happens? US yields go lower, weakening USD, relieved pressure on the yen. That would mean risk assets, like Bitcoin, stocks, and other things would explode based on that decision from Jay Powell. That kind of talk from Jay Powell. Or, what could Jay Powell do? Another scenario is number 2. He could come in hawkish. Basically, he's going to step on the pedal. As we've known, inflation in the U.S. has been climbing lately. It hasn't been going down like they've expected with holding rates where they are. Not putting any pressure or letting off. They are just holding rates where they are. Now, if he comes in hawkish and he talks inflation, and then he talks about, the inflation is increasing and they're thinking about doing other rate hikes, guess what would happen, my friends? A major risk asset crash. We would see stocks go down and down and down even further. Bitcoin, of course, could crash, down to that 53K level. Might not happen today, but it would happen this week if, Jay Powell comes in there and talks about rate hikes. So, in my opinion, that is not going to happen. Why? Well, we just got to go back to the yen, my friends. They don't want a global financial meltdown. If they decide to talk inflation and rate hikes, guess what's going to happen to the yen? It's going to explode. It's going to weaken and explode in the USD yen terms. We're going to see the yen possibly collapse if Jay Powell comes out dovish. So that's not going to happen because if the yen collapses, a global financial meltdown, we're going to see the Fed have to intervene and inject trillions and trillions of dollars into the economy, which, it would crash Bitcoin, but then we would see Bitcoin soar. Now, there is a third, option, which is kind of likely. I personally believe Jay Powell is going to come in dovish. I think they're going to, with their talk, manipulate bond yields lower so they can give some more time to the yen, relieve the pressure on it and, not have to intervene like they don't want to. But they could come in and basically, talk a little bit about inflation, basically just stay neutral and say, basically we're going to hold rates where they are and hope for inflation to come down. Now, if that happens, basically we're going to see a sideways chopping market with stocks and Bitcoin. There is a percentage, of rate cuts coming in September, and it's at 50% right now. Now, if he comes in neutral, it's going to stay at 50%. So the markets are going to basically chop around and wait for that in September. So we could be entering a less than 6 month period of sideways markets, which is highly possible as well. But in my opinion, they want to manipulate the bond prices lower, without exclusively doing it. They're going to just do it with their words. So I believe a more dovish and a hint at rate hikes coming in September is going to happen, which is going to cause, the markets to rally. Let me know your guys' opinion down in the comments. Let me know if you like these urgent videos. I'm going to be one of the first ones putting out content on this today. So, of course, guys, like, subscribe, and comment. I love you all, and I'll see you next time tomorrow with another video. Cheers.